To be, God bless me and God do it for me. God do it for me. How do we know? Because we can stay in prayer all night when it comes to things concerning ourselves. But can we endure this for your family? But your neighbor 2 rows back and 3 seats down. Can you pray and labor in prayer that God gives that family a breakthrough? Y'all ain't talking back to me. Come on, that is the real power of the church. God, not only do I want you to do it for me, but I want you to do it for my whole church family. I want you to do it for the neighbor that I don't even know. I want you to do it for them and their children. Look at your neighbor and say, we need a movement. We don't need another car when you ain't driving the one you got to the house now. You don't need a bigger house than the one you have now if you don't got a prayer room. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's time to transition. God uses, and I'm closing, he uses transition through times of change, hardship, and transition to move his people in a likeness of his image into what and whom he has called them, created them to become. And the reason why some of us, we're on the verge, we're moving, come on, but have we become? And I want to help you with something. Come on, because I want to shake you right here. You know, sometimes when you're trying to get your children to listen, you just grab and you shake them. You're like, listen, listen, Linda, listen. You never stop becoming. You don't just elevate to a place of a title and you say, I've arrived. I got it now. No, because God will give you a title, but your relationship with him is not identified in the title. It's identified in the works. So in other words, I don't care how many titles you have. Does the devil know your name? Come on, have you moved from one place in your relationship with God to the next? Y'all ain't talking back to me. Come on, you can't have the title, but every time you turn around, come on, you at the party. Come on, you at the hangout. You at the cookout. Is there any time that you're found on your knees praying and believing God, getting ready for Sunday service because I'm believing God for a breakthrough? Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm believing God for a breakthrough. As a matter of fact, I'm believing him to change some things in my house right now. That because I'm giving him praise, because I'm making a decision right now, that my relationship with God is, it's going to change at my house because of my yes in this house. Just tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, he's changing it at your house. See, y'all don't know when to praise. Touch your other neighbor and say, neighbor, did you hear what I say? I want you to prophesy to them right now. Come on, tell them that God is changing it at your house. You trapped, that thing that kept you bound, that thing that kept you distracted, God is changing that thing right now. So you got to understand that the enemy will use it for distraction, but God will use it for fuel for the fire. Come on, somebody shout, turn on the heat 7 times harder. Come through every time, every time, every time. Did you get the correlation? Nebuchadnezzar say, turn up the heat 7 times harder. Some of us, we ready to quit. We ready to throw in the towel. We ready to leave the church. We get mad over gossip. We can't handle somebody talking about you. Have you ever thought that maybe they talking about you because God getting ready to show a miracle? Come on, maybe because God getting ready to change your situation. Come on, God getting ready to flip the script. They talking about you while you are here, but God knows what he's about to do next. Come on, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor, talk all you want to talk, because I know that my God, he's up to something great in my life. He said that I will do exceedingly, abundantly, above all you can ask, think, or imagine. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, let them talk, let them talk, let them talk. Because through those difficult times, God taught me how to pray. He taught me how to get down on my knees. He taught me how to trust him. He taught me how to lean on him. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you better learn how to lean on him. I can only imagine Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I just believe that they love God so much. They believe God so much. They didn't even have to conversate. Well, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Oh, come on, I'm talking about it. Come on, because we can't be in faith and need everybody else's decision, everybody else's opinion. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I believe God. Come on, sometimes when you are walking in faith, you got to sometimes be the first partaker. Sometimes you got to be the first one to say, send me, I'll go, I'll go. Come on, something's wrong with your faith. If you got to push your neighbor out and see what happens to them before you make a decision to trust God. But look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you better be careful with that, because it may just be that when the water is trouble, it's maybe only for the one, the first one who's willing to activate their faith. Just like the man by the pool of Bethesda. While you sitting there waiting on your neighbor, you could have just missed your blessing. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, where is your faith? I'm not going to wait on a prayer partner. I'm not going to wait for you to praise him first. I believe God. I believe him. I believe him. Come on, tap your neighbor and say, I believe him. I believe him in the morning. I believe him in the noonday. I believe him. Tap your neighbor and say, neighbor, when you got real faith, you don't have to wait till the battle is over. Oh, that's the wrong neighbor. Come on, I dare you to look at your neighbor and say it in your prophetic voice. Come on, say, when you believe God, you don't have to wait till the battle is over. You can give him praise right now, right now, right now. I dare you to praise him. That is already done. I dare you to praise him. That is already done. I dare you to give him glory. Come on, that's it. That's what I'm talking about. The water is trouble. And if this baby gotta be the first partaker, I'm not gonna sit back and look at what my neighbor is doing. But I choose to believe God. till you want it. Childlike faith. You got to have childlike faith. I'm not waiting till the battle is over, but I'm going to shout right now. I'm going to dance right now. I'm going to give him glory right now. I don't care, devil. If you turn up the heat 7 times harder, my God will deliver me. He will bring me out. He will bring me over. Somebody give God praise. I won't compromise. Woo. I won't compromise. I won't bow down. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, as for me and my house. Oh, no, you didn't. Come on. I want you to get it in your mind. Come on, I want you to get a Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in your mind right now. Come on and tell your neighbor, say, neighbor, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. We're going to serve him. We're going to serve him. We're going to give him glory in spite of what it looks like. In spite of what we have to go through. Why? Because he's still God. Although he slay me, I still say yes. I still give him glory. I still give him praise. Some of y'all still looking at me. You better jump in the water while the water is troubled. Come on, do me a favor and ask your neighbor, say, neighbor, what would you do if God gave you a 24-hour breakthrough? Did you hear what I said? Look at your other neighbor and say, neighbor, how would you praise him if he gave you a 24-hour breakthrough? If he turned that thing around in your life just like that, just like that, just like that, just like that. How would you give him praise? How would you give him praise? How would you give him praise? I'm talking to the people in the back. What would you do if God turned that thing around in 24 hours? Yes, 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 yes. I don't know about you, but I believe God. I believe God. I believe God. I believe God. Just like that. Just like that. 24-hour turnaround. 24-hour breakthrough. It's broken. It's broken. I decree it and declare it now. Healing in your body. Healing from the crown of his head. Oh, y'all ain't praying. Y'all ain't praying. Because if I can believe God can do it for me, I can believe him for my neighbor. Breakthrough. 24-hour breakthrough. Somebody give God praise. Somebody give him glory. I'm not going to just children, my grandchildren, my sister, my brother. I dare you to praise him while you're in the fire. I dare you to praise him while you're in the midst of the furnace. Hey. Nebuchadnezzar, he said the fourth one. Watch this. He said the fourth one. He looks like the Son of Man. Ask your neighbor, how in the world did a heathen know what God looks like? Somebody shout, every knee will bow, every tongue confess that he is Lord. You're not in it by yourself. But he's a keeper. He's a keeper. He's a keeper. We close it right here. But just do me a favor. Tap on your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm tired of settling in the center.